Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bakertron, and I'm here to bring you another Homeworld game without any sound effects. I've spent the past few days attempting to fix that with different sound cards. None of them work, so I'm just going to have to do it like this until... Well, I have one more thing I can try, which I'll be able to try in about 2 weeks' time. And if that doesn't work, then I don't know what I'm going to do. But until then, I'll just have to do it in this sort of style with just my voice and the music overlaid on it. I hope it's not... I hope you enjoy my casts anyway. So today we have a 1v1. I've completely forgotten the name of the map. Might be Talos Crossroads, I'm not sure. But our blue Tidani player is Sunstreak, who we haven't seen before. And I don't know whether we've seen a green Tidan player before. This because he is simply listed as unnamed player. So it could be anyone, it could be no one. The game's 10 years old now, it's going to be impossible to find out. Not much more I can say about him. Sunstreak may be in the clan AOD, but I haven't heard of them. So yes, that's our two players. Sunstreak has also gone for... Well, he's got his second and third research ship out, while his opponent, a named player, only has 2. So hopefully we'll see some strange and advanced technology coming from Sunstreak. Sunstreak's, in terms of harvester, he has his resource controller out, and 2 collectors, I believe that's all he has, whilst unnamed player, he has, well, there's 3 down there. So he doesn't have a controller out, but he does have 4 collectors. And it looks like he's going to be making a play for the centre resource patch, which is always incredibly vital. We see in almost every game all the players moving to fight over it. So I don't think the lack of a resource controller is going to slow him down yet, if he can mine out this centre patch. If Sunstreak can stop him from mining there, however, then these resource collectors are going to have to go all the way over here and then all the way back, and that will cost a named player greatly. Sunstreak, meanwhile, is... well, he's only got half the harvesters, but he has the controller, which is... so maybe it evens out a bit. Although one of his harvesters is all the way over here. So I definitely give it to a named player in that case. If this harvester was over here, then I'd call it even, but it's not. And there's a new harvester going out here. These scouts and whatnot are just going to chase down this probe. And that's kind of Sunstreak though. Sunstreak is sort of giving up the middle here. Oh, this is real player messing up again. I'm going to be so annoyed. Real player has already cost me two casts of this game, because it just turns itself on and takes up all my CPU resources. So yes, Sunstreak has given up sort of this centre. He's allowing these 4 harvesters of unnamed player to get in, and well, that's going to give unnamed player a fairly large advantage. Unnamed player himself has gone for scouts, light corvettes and interceptors. I think that's pretty much it. Meanwhile, Sunstreak has only got support frigates out, and of course scouts and light corvettes, but everybody gets those out. So far Sunstreak, well, his 3 research ships aren't paying off at the moment, but it's still early in the game, and you can see why he's been a little hesitant to attack this huge force here. And he does have 25 scouts, 11 light corvettes, but I think he'd lose in a fight at the moment. So he's sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, because this is rapidly getting mined out. There's still no resource controller for unnamed players, so once this is gone... oh wait, yes there is. Unnamed player being 1 step ahead of me. Once it's harvested out here, in fact he's already moved on to this side patch here, and there's a controller not too far away. And that's just going to leave Sunstreak with this part here, but his controller is still really far away. So Sunstreak not being very efficient with the mining, and I think that's one of the reasons why Unnamed Player definitely has the advantage. The other reason is because he has interceptors out, so he can produce more units at the same time. And the longer that goes on for, the more it's going to snowball. You can start getting bombers or heavy corvettes, and that's going to, you know, you research heavy corvettes, you've doubled the amount of corvettes you can produce at any one time. So he's going to be able to spend all these resources he's getting in, while Sunstreak, well, he's only got light corvettes, interceptors and support frigates. Sunstreak can only build 3 different craft at the same time, and that could be where Sunstreak loses, unless something interesting comes out of this mothership fairly soon. Because if it does not, then this entire resource patch is going to be harvested. And then I think Unnamed Player will solidify his lead. In fact, I think, are those other corvettes? No, those are just normal light corvettes. So Unnamed Player not exactly pushing the boat out with research himself. He does have a little scouts coming out here, so he can see what's going on. He'll probably knows he's got an advantage. But he doesn't really have any reason to push in right now. He wants to build on his advantage, not necessarily try to kill his opponent off. Because even though he's got a fairly nice amount of strikecraft, if he just goes straight in with this lot, the mothership has its own guns, there's 2 support frigates out, he could still lose. He wants to draw Sunstreak away from his mothership, and preferably away from the support frigates. I think that's just the scout doing a bit of a run by. One scout there to fight it off. So yes, that's how things look at the moment. It's certainly a slightly different type of game than we usually see, and what has definitely made it a different game is down here. We have a defence field frigate. Yes, it's what I always say whenever you're losing the strikecraft battle. Defence field frigate and grav bolt generator are the 2 key units to reclaiming, well, to winning again. This defence field frigate is going to nullify everything that this fleet can throw out. Every single shot. Well, the manual states that it does 99% of incoming fire, but I'm not sure how that actually translates into game terms at the moment. But maybe we can find out. What Sunstreak needs to do though is to keep his units together. These 2 support frigates need to stay with these, and the defence field frigate, no matter what. Unfortunately for Sunstreak, defence field frigates don't do anything against ramming attacks. So we can see lots of scouts kamikazing. So Sunstreak's already lost 5-6 scouts himself and a couple of light corvettes. If we turn this on, we can see the sort of area that the defence field frigate is protecting. He's got to keep as many of his ships in that group as possible. He's just lost a huge amount of strikecraft. He's got strikecraft outside of that area, and they are just being absolutely swarmed to death. So he's lost almost 20 scouts and 10 light corvettes, simply because they weren't with the defence field frigate. And these 2 groups now really need to link up. We can see here the defence field frigate in action. You can see the orange circles of the firepower and all these shots coming off. That's just showing where it's deflecting the shots from. So these light corvettes are going to be quite useful. They need to go over here, because these ships aren't going to last a very long time against this amount of strikecraft. And the assault frigate is great. The assault frigate is good against enemy corvettes, but the support frigate going off on its own, you don't want that. You want that behind your assault frigate and with these group here. In terms of harvesting, yeah, whatever. So if we turn this off, we can see actually the support frigate taking some damage from the combined firepower. You can see most of it flying off, but some of it does get through. So now we know fields. Do you think that's 99% or 90%? I can see that being 99% because there's a lot of strikecraft here. So defense field frigates aren't utterly perfect, and that is definitely a lot of firepower it's deflecting though. So not perfect, but totally worth it. Unfortunately, it's currently not protecting anything. I mean, it's kind of like boxing these strikecraft out, but they're strikecraft, they can just fly around, as we can see they're doing right now. And now they're going to be able to hammer these frigates quite heavily. Unfortunately, support frigates healing each other, that's going to take a while to die. But so is a named player ship. So a named player ship has a lot of corvettes, assault frigates. I think right now Sunstreak's best bet is to go for a missile destroyer or a grav generator. Grav generator, lock all these down, and then kill them off with the frigates, with these frigates. Because at the moment, the frigates, he needs to get better control of this. Again, it's kind of protecting, it's kind of like forming a wall, but once again the strikecraft are just going right around it. And it's still taking damage. And I think that assault frigate just managed to fire a... I don't know whether plasma bombs are deflected or not. Some things I've read say they are, some things I've read say they aren't. So we'll have to try to keep an eye. Doesn't look... Second defense field frigate out now, and again he's just trying to play a positional game, boxing all these strikecraft out, forcing them away from this fight on, so he can hope he can win this fight here. But once again, strikecraft far too quick for that. It might work. You might be able to box out the assault frigates, but that's going to be it. Iron cannon frigates now showing up. I think they're out for both players. Yep, and that's just killed the research ships of Sunstreak. So if he hasn't researched Gravwell or missile destroyers, he's not going to. Yes. In two defensive frigates. Now here's yet another defensive frigate question. Can you stack the fields to get 99.9999% covered? But it's certainly looking... Oh no, Sunfire managed to get through that. Sunfire is getting through. Now these iron cannons are out. These are going to die. 2 iron cannons. I don't think 3 support frigates can out-heal the damage done by 2 iron cannons. I mean, they might be able to. But it's definitely... Actually, I don't know, I think it might be just about even. So... Now what's... Now our unnamed player has decided to say, yeah, screw the defense field frigates, I'm just going to kill them with the ship. Which, considering the amount of strikecraft here, I mean there must be at least 40. Could actually happen. We can already see it's already about 1/5 health dead. So this is going to force Sunstreak to... Well, he's pulled away his defensive field frigate again, and it's just now on its own, doesn't have any support frigates with it, it's going to die hideously from this fleet here. I think we can tell by this point who's going to win this fight. The mothership is now almost, well, it's a third of the way gone. Support frigates desperately healing it, but they can't heal everything at once, and that's what they need to do. In fact, I don't even know if they can out-heal this damage. Suicidal iron cannon frigate attempting to get some damage done to the mothership. It's not going to be, well, it's going to get a tiny bit of damage of course done, but then it's just going to die. No, it's been hyperspaced out. It has managed to live to die in its next battle. Meanwhile, this defensive field frigate is again chasing after these strikecraft. Oh, you can see an interesting thing here. This resource patch was electrified by an iron cannon beam shot, and that's going to have done damage to all these frigates, which is a nice tiny victory for Sunstreak, but I don't think it's going to count. So I'd like to congratulate our unnamed player and commiserate Sunstreak I love the fact that he went for the defensive frigates. He just wasn't quite able to pull it off. But it was certainly a different game, and a different type of game than we usually see. And so I've enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. If you have enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, share, watch other ones, and I hope to see you next time. This isn't going to last much longer. The question is, what will die in the explosion? Will these strike craft get taken out? They might do. There's still 4 support frigates healing the mothership. That's going to keep it alive for a couple more minutes. And this defense field frigate's still chasing around the strike craft. I mean, those lines of gunfire are things you don't see every day. But this mothership, there we go. So the explosion killed all the strike craft. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.